We're going to take some time to think about developing emotions. God has given us these emotions, and sometimes, even as adults, we don't really know what to do with them. They can be powerful and intense, and they can be a great joy. They can also get us in some serious trouble. And for us as parents, we have an opportunity to help our children learn why God has given us these emotions, and how we can use them and how we can develop them. Because emotions they're like musical instruments. When we play them well, the tune is beautiful, and when we play them badly, everyone just gets a sore head. And our children are going to go through the big emotions of fear and sadness and anger and guilt, and we as parents want to be able to walk them through what is the reason that God has given us these, and how do we use them in a way that honors Him, in a way that loves the people around us. We've talked about this tension that there is in parenting. We want to protect them from the world. We want to prepare them for the world. And again, when it comes to developing emotions, there are two extremes that we want to steer away from. If all we are concerned about is protecting our children from the world, and we're not thinking about preparing them, we're just protecting them from the world, what we can try and do is shield them from big emotions, try and create a bubble around them where they never face disappointment, where they never face opposition, where they never have to engage with fear and sadness and anger. And what we try and do is we try and prepare the path for them, that is the path of least resistance, so that they just don't have to engage with those strong emotions. Or we can just tolerate their outbursts of frustration or outbursts of anger, or live with the crippling fear. And what we do is we just tolerate it. If all we're concerned is protecting them and keeping discomfort away, then what we do is we shield them, we tolerate the strong emotions, but we don't teach them to engage with them and develop them as what they are. These strong emotions are gifts from God. But there's another extreme, and that's the drill sergeant extreme, where we expect our kids to be tough and we want them to be ready for the big bad world. And actually what can happen is we can become dismissive of their emotions. We can disapprove of their emotions. Those are the wrong emotions, or those emotions don't matter. And equally, what happens is we end up not letting our children engage with these gifts that God has given them, and because they don't engage with them, they don't develop. And in either of these extremes, what happens is our children are not at home with the emotions that God has wired them to have, and actually they miss out on trying to manage them and use them to love people and to love God. One of the people who's done a lot of research on this is a researcher, psychologist called Daniel Goleman, and he talks about this idea of emotional intelligence. We know what standard intelligence are: people who are really smart and can perform well on IQ tests. Well, what Goleman says is actually that's one type of intelligence. And actually, ironically, often, not always, but often, people who have a really high IQ, really strong intelligence, sometimes have quite a low emotional intelligence. They know lots of facts and understand the world, but sometimes really don't understand people. And so emotional intelligence is a different type of intelligence. And he kind of breaks it down into four areas where there's a self-awareness. So I'm aware of what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it and how it affects me. And once I have a self-awareness, that can then move on to a self-management. So if I understand how I feel and why I feel it and how it affects me, I can then figure out how to manage that, so that these strong emotions don't overtake me, but actually I can use them and engage them and develop them, that they're a productive thing rather than a negative thing. The third one then is, once we understand ourselves, we can better understand other people. And we can understand how they will be affected by things, and why they react the way that they react. which then leads to the fourth one, that we can actually help others manage their emotions. We can help others understand how to operate in this world in a healthy way instead of a destructive way. And so Goleman talks about these four areas: self-awareness that leads to self-management, and others awareness that leads to other management and helping others. But the key thing is to understand that God has given us these strong emotions, the fear, the anger, the sadness, the guilt, and He's given us them for a reason. And our children aren't to be shielded from them, nor are their feelings to be dismissed or disapproved of. Actually, part of growing up is engaging with these strong emotions and having a parent there that can help these children navigate how to deal with these strong emotions. A bit like learning how to play a musical instrument. You know, at the start, it's a clangy, it's a headache noise. But actually, the more they engage with it, the more they practice the musical instrument, it becomes a beautiful tune. Our emotions are like that. You know, as when we're young and we haven't got a clue what they are and how to use them, they just make an awful racket and they make a mess, and it gives everyone a headache, and it's hard to listen to and it's hard to deal with. But when you persevere and when you teach a child how to handle them, actually the whole thing can become beautiful because they're gifts from God.